been actually, watching a few, well, almost all of your other, one-on-one sessions or conversations with people, and they've been so helpful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they're really great conversations, all of them. And the things that you share in them are so interesting. I think PhD guy is my favorite.
Okay, yeah.
There was some really good stuff in there, and it was just such a great flow you guys had. And then I really loved that couple that you had because I really connected with a lot of what was going on with them, and and so, I guess I just don't really have a lot of questions. I just want to talk with someone. It's like I feel like I'm in this place where it's funny. I was watching a Theo video the other day, and he was saying something like purgatory. And there have been times recently, it's really evened out a little bit for me in terms of like feeling like it's purgatory. But like, especially when I made this one-on-one, I was just, it's just, you're in this in between. And it's just such a hard place to be because there's nothing to lean on. And I think what attracted me so much to you is just our spiritual journeys were, especially at the end of our journey, the whole I am an awareness, I'm silent. I mean, and it was funny because I've had like a 30-year long spiritual journey. It's literally my identity.
Mm.
It's everything I am. Like I'm single, I'm a life coach, like it is my whole reality. Like I live and breathe it. And I had finally gotten to I am about maybe this time last year. And it was the ultimate, like I finally got like all of that seeking has brought me finally to it was just, it threw me for a loop. I was like, how did I never see this? Like, and I was in silence because I was a huge meditator. I was meditating like 2 hours a day. I was doing like Joe Dispenza stuff for a couple of years. And
Oh, yeah, me too.
yeah, and I was like, and then when I found it was like everything dropped, and it was more just about, I couldn't even do Dr. Joe's meditation because I just wanted to be in silence. And how long could I be in silence? And always, am I being aware? Like you said, it was funny. It's like, am I in awareness? Am I in awareness? It was like, and that went on for like 10 months before I found this message. And you were like 8 months. And I was like, oh my God, like we're right there. It was so crazy. And so but it was really helping me. I suffered a lot. I had a lot of healing in my life. And my whole journey was about that, about healing myself. And my thing was always like, I'm going to heal myself and then I'm going to help others heal themselves, and it's through my journey that I'm going to, it's all this. And I got there and I'm life coaching and boom, I found this message, man. And it's just, I'm just like, wow, I'm fucked. Like, shit, like I couldn't do anything anymore, And yeah, and it was like with my clients, it was just like, and I don't have that many clients. My business was really just getting going, especially with finding this I am and knowing that this was the ultimate, like I'm there now. I'm just gotta, master this and whatever it is that I'm doing, then I think I'm finally ready now to really help people, right? And my website and everything. But so yeah, I wasn't angry that I found this message. Like, I know you were saying like you were kind of pissed, like, what the fuck, all this seeking, But it was almost like the ultimate, like, oh shit. So there is no self, like shit.
Mm.
There is no observer. What? No, like, oh, but it made so much sense. It was like, it made so much sense. So there was like this, I loved it. God, I just love this message. I can't stop watching the videos. It was just around Christmas that I got destroyed. It was a beautiful gift. What else can you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's just kind of like where I'm at, is just this in between place of like, none of my tools help. But there, it does feel like there is this like unraveling, like this, I don't know, untangling that within. A lot of changes are happening to the me, but like I just, even like initially I was all trying to figure it out. Well, like maybe there is a universe, right? And then this is like God show, like all, and then, because of course you want to figure out the message when you first hear it, you're trying to decipher it, and then you realize, that you're never going to know it. And now it's just like, I'm not trying to figure out anything. Like, I know I'm not going to know anything. It's just, so there's that like loosening up, and there's like a loosening up of the characters, like insecurities. Like even with my friends, there's like, I know they're not doing stuff. And I used to be so involved and like, oh, don't do that. Don't make that decision. Why are you doing that? And now it's just like, oh, wow, that's cool. You did that. Yeah. Oh, wow. And with my clients, it was like, God, I was taking on a new client right after I found this message. And I just was like, I had such a hard time with it. And I had no one to talk to. And I felt like that girl in the couples video, she felt like a fraud. But I realized like I was already doing this anyways. It was already happening. There was no one doing it. Mm-hmm. So I might as well take the meeting because it's happening, whether I like it or not. Mm-hmm. And then I did. I took the meeting and then I just hear the words coming out and I'm telling her shit that I don't even believe in anymore. And it's like coming out like it used to. Like I really was passionate about what I was saying, but it was still coming out. So there was that whole surreal like experience of like, womp, 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 womp. And I'm like, oh, listen to that. Like, I'm all like convinced. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I'm like, it's not me. It's just come out, And I can really say that now. I used to say that to people. I'm like, it's not me. It's, it's God universe. I'm just a conduit, but now seriously, I mean, it's not me, I mean, that was the truth, and, so now, I just had a back-to-back sessions yesterday. And, so mentally the me is over like, I loved what you said to the couple because and that's what I mean about this in between. Like, I'm the me still here, but, so I don't get the comfort of not obsessing over like things, right? Because I think once the me drops away, I'll probably still do these things, but there'll be no me to like, oh, I feel like a fake, or you know what I'm saying? Like to judge them. I don't know what goes on in here right now. It's so fucking confusing, It's just like, so I just did the meetings yesterday. And I think yesterday I kind of experienced like there's times where I feel like, I don't know, I just kind of like let go and it just all comes out and I'm just sitting there like and it wasn't enjoyable, my conversations as much, as they used to be. It's because I feel like like I'm saying stuff that, I don't care, like I don't believe in, but I know, and I think that will fall away. I think I probably will still probably coach people. I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't even know what's going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, so, I mean, I just dumped all of that on you, but I mean, there's no one to talk to about this. Yeah. It's crazy, but I get so much comfort in, like just, I think the way that you share is really like, I don't know, there's something about it that is so comforting, and it is so energetic because it's so genuine. Sometimes I love how you're so amazed by like the human now.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm sorry, but that's so awesome that you can do that. And I love that. And yeah, I can just listen to you share all day because it's, because where I'm at now, it's not like, you go through these phases of this message where I really loved being like slapped in the face by like Jim Newman or Ariana's just like, yeah, you know, she's like all, you know, and that was good. And then after a while, you're just sitting with it. And it's just interesting to hear where no one is compared to where someone is. And I think that's where I just sit and I can listen to you talk. That's why I love these conversations you're having with others, you know?
Yeah.
So there's no, you know, there's nothing I can do. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not really purgatory because it's not even that bad anymore. But I do have moments where it's bad. You know, like my mind does want to grab onto things sometimes. Like recently it was conditioning. Mm-hmm. What is that? And is the person, you know, it just wants to grab onto something to like figure it out. And there's no figuring it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very difficult for the me to know exactly what it is and what it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like recently, you know, I think this character in general quit drinking for like, you know, since like 2020. And it was not like a big issue of mine, but it was something I always kind of like challenged myself with, or, you know, had a little grab on me. And I always judged myself for drinking. So like, it was like at the end of 2019, I really got over myself, which was kind of funny. That's how I tell the story. Like I couldn't even live with myself anymore, which is kind of ironic. But, and so he made this huge change. I went plant-based, you know, I just went fully like sober. And I just, you know, full on, and it really helped. It really got me onto this next level. And, you know, it's just the journey, the story. But since I've heard this message, it's like, you know, like I started drinking once in a while again. And it's like, so the character's like, well, where, like, is that, so what is doing that? Like, who was doing the not drinking compared to when I got this message, and who's doing the drinking? And it's so then there's that whole thing. And is it conditioning? Is it my body that wants to drink? You know, so it kind of incites all these questions, but then I just go,
yeah, who knows?
No one's going to give me the answer. It's not going to come from anything, you know?
Yeah.
And,
a similar thing happened here too. There was a dropping of meditation to a bit of an extreme from meditating all day, kind of, and then just dropping it. And there was this flood of thoughts. I think there was a maintaining that was happening of presence. And then once that stopped, it was just like a flood of thoughts again. It was annoying at first, but it was just like, well, that's just what's happening. And there was a binge watching of Netflix for days and days. My head hurt. But then eventually, like, because I was for months not really going too much into entertainment. And then there was a binge watching after listening to this message, but the body just acclimated because it can't take headaches all the time. It doesn't want that. So it by itself, it kind of went back into balance, it seemed.
Yeah.
Same with alcohol. I started drinking a bit just for enjoyment. I started eating a little bit more of what I wanted.
Yeah, I did too. It's funny. It's like almost like I wasn't restricting, but I guess I was, right? But it was all a part of like, I felt really clean and I felt very clear. I was not drinking just because I felt so much more present. And the farther, like I'd go like 8 months without drinking, and I'd go to a wedding, maybe have some drinks, but it was so like, I did genuinely feel like so much more just really present and whole and clean and pure. And like, there was nothing else in there. And it was all a part of that. Right.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm like, like you said, I mean, I went the same thing. I mean, I was like meditating, like, 2-3 hours a day, sometimes, definitely the least an hour and a half a day. And it was like, when I woke up, when I went to bed, all day, it was like, no. And, and then all of that just just stopped. And I did try to, I do this, I'm a heart math, I'm a heart math mentor too. And I have this little device and I do love, and I'm certified in breathing, Reiki. I mean, girl, it's like all of that is just, it's gone. I can't even look at my website because it's like it's my little bio. It's like 30 years of gurus and sages and all this, it's just like, gosh, I really hope this happens for me because what am I going to do? That's what I feel like. It's like, but yeah, back to what you're saying about just everything dropping. It's just like, yeah, it's just like,
yeah. Yeah. It could be painful, and it can sometimes feel as if there's a sense of limbo. Like the me is kind of waiting for something, but I can't make it happen. It's either going to happen or it's not. And there's no telling when or why.
It is that limbo that I'm in.
Yeah. But I would say that you are kind of continuing. So I would say that's what happened here as well. It was just like, well, what else are you going to do? You're just going to sit here and do nothing? That's not even possible. So I might as well just continue and live and enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable, the the me will come and just, really want this again. And then it'll come to the, seeing like, oh, okay, yeah, this is really, this can't be forced. This can't be done. So yeah, at least here, there was a real, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my life now. I have to let this go because it's not up to anyone if this happens or not. And I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of thinking that this will happen soon and then I will live my life.
I just can't, like, I had like I said, some meetings yesterday and I always do this little review for the client to give them the stuff for the week. And I'm just gonna, it's like pulling tooth and nail to do that project. And I can't believe that this is what life coaching has come to, because it was my entire life. It was everything I was working towards, but I'm also a digital designer and this has been like my career. And so I'm just happy to have that because I'll just do that. It's mindless. I don't love it. It's not, it's sometimes creative, but I can do it in my sleep. So thank God I have that to make money, because now I don't know about this business and it's just, it's just like, it's the same thing. So I'm just doing, the graphics. I'm grateful for that. And it keeps me doing something, makes money. And so you told your parents, I love your relationship with your parents because it's so interesting. Did you tell them before you dropped, and I know I'm using these yous and stuff, but we just have to get past that, that you were going through this, or you're going through a change?
No, I think this character didn't want to worry them or confuse them because it just sounds crazy.
Yeah.
And my mom is, she reads the Bible, and when I would have conversations about what I thought about God, when there was a spiritual me,
yeah,
I would kind of share what I thought. And it was clear to her that she just thought I was a little bit weird. Like, so then I stopped. It was just like, yeah, it's not really necessary. Maybe I told my dad a little bit like, oh, I'm going through a deconditioning process where I'm looking at how I was programmed. And, it's just, there's a lot of processing and healing going on and a lot of trauma coming up. And so I tried to explain a little bit, but I think I just decided it's okay if they don't understand me. If it's okay if they don't get me. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think those are all great things to say. I mean, I was a big expressive person about my journey and always, sharing with my friends, and my parents are both gone, but, yeah, I just, there's no telling anybody. I just tell everybody that I'm going through a big shift, and
Yeah.
no shock to anybody. I'm always shifting, spiritually. Yeah, I just, I can't, there's no telling anybody anything about this ever. But man, when I was in the I am, it was all, I wanted to talk to people who believed in God and share that truth. And it was crazy. It was crazy, that journey. And I watched your video last night for the first time about awareness. And, yeah, it's almost interesting because there's so many parallel things with the I am and the non-duality, but obviously, there's points where it just drops out. But yeah, it's interesting. But I have noticed, as I've kind of evened out a little bit and just all the emotions about it, how the more quiet I am, the less I allow myself to sit in my head, my thoughts, the more I feel like I haven't had a glimpse. And I'm kind of grateful for that. I think after I hear people suffering after having a glimpse, they're trying to, and I feel like maybe that's a gift. I probably have had little mini glimpses that I just don't realize are glimpses, because there's times that I feel, especially when I'm watching some videos, there's this like distance that I feel that I've never felt before. So I feel like maybe there's an energetic thing happening, but I do feel like you said, it's different from being the observer and like watching, how we are taught to be the observer, like in self-inquiry and everything. You had said something so powerful to me that really stuck with me. And you said initially, like when you're mean and being, you had this thought of like, you should just end it. And you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a powerful thought. I think you were like, that's a little extreme, but it was like, I started hearing stuff that like is patterned in my thinking in a different way after hearing that. And that's kind of trippy, because there's times where I could really just hear it in a different way. It's like, wow, that's interesting. It's so different than self-inquiry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, that thought was a common thought and this character was depressed pretty often. And the normal state seems like just sadness and um yeah, I mean toward the end though, it wasn't so extreme, but there were still lingering thoughts of like, is this worth it? Like, what am I doing? Um, yeah, so but when it came up in that apparent like final stage or whatever, yeah, it was just so crystal clear that it was just a thought from nowhere, from nothing. No one was thinking it. There was no owner of it.
Yeah. And it's those pattern thoughts or those behaviors that like I had I have a lot of, I guess I still do have a lot of self-esteem issues. And so I'm starting to see those repetitive, like
Mm,
just judgments and everything as just something like that. Like,
yeah,
this is just, this is on repeat. Like,
yeah.
you know,
And
and,
and the self, you said self-esteem?
yeah.
Yeah, that's perfection. There's no need to change that. No one is broken or no one is unworthy.
It's
Um,
all just patterns. It's just all like this conditioning, I guess, that has just been playing out and playing out and playing out. And the only difference is now I just kind of see it like so separately, like just like, oh, listen to that. That's so interesting. Like where there's not an emotional attachment to it anymore. It's just more like,
mm,
wow, listen to that. And it's not all the time I can do that, because sometimes you're just in your thoughts, you're in your head. And, but I feel like that's part of the unraveling. There's these times where I can really separate myself from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when I was listening to that couple, I thought it was she was having like a little aha moment about how, so just everything that I'm always doing is I'm not doing, like everything, like she was really, and it's great. I love hearing that because it's so true. I think we need to hear that over and over. And I don't know who does or why, but it's just so, I think that's one of the things, and everyone says it's just crazy that I'm not doing any of this. And no matter how many times we hear like there's proof that there's no free will, and you're not the doer, it's like it's something, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I wanted to ask you, you made videos before you draw, or before whatever, nothing happens. Do you watch those videos and like look at that person like she had a me?
It's interesting because I uploaded some stuff, yeah, prior to the me falling away, and they were about awareness. They were about also the transition between awareness and listening to this message, and the confusion or trying to figure out. I haven't watched it recently. There hasn't been an urge to, but I can remember that it's so apparent that there's a me there who is trying to appear a certain way, to say a certain thing, to make things, yeah, sound a certain way, and choose the right words. And yeah, it seems like a lot of self, what's it called? It's just a filter of the self that's there.
And it's like, what is that? It's crazy. Like oh man. And it's crazy. I mean, you actually make me more fascinated by it when you are like, isn't that crazy that this energy is just there? And it's like, I know, like, why? And then my me's like, well, because God needs to have an experience. I'm like, no, you're not going to know this. There's nothing to know, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. You just want it to be gone. But even that, I think, just makes it here, just, I'm, like you said, I'm just trying to like, well, I don't know, this conversation kind of makes it kind of brings the me out more, being on camera, being self-conscious, talking about me. It's better just to just to move on, and like you said, just live.
Yeah, I mean, if the me is really wanting this, that's also this.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it looks like, no matter what it appears as, it's always just this. Yeah, the aversion to that wanting, that's this.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually helped me a lot in terms of just sitting with what is, like, okay, even just the simplest things, like not feeling good or my body aching, it's just what is. And it's not like I'm like, this is just what is. No, it's just actually, it's an allowing. And there's been this more of an allowing of just everything. And even like with having the drinking come back was great, because initially the old pattern of judgment and like, oh, it just fell away, because it's like, you're not doing this. So
Yeah,
I'm going to judge, and it is what it is. And
exactly.
you're going to drink today, you're not going to drink today. If you did, you didn't. And, and you're hungover. Well, just be hungover now. And it isn't a conscious thing. It's just almost like, I don't know, there's just this allowing of life to just be like, even with my animals, I'm very emotionally invested in them. I have been, and in their happiness and how I'm interacting with them, and oh, if I'm giving them it, now it's just like they're conditioned by how I've interacted with them, and they're fine, and there's no them to be affected, and it's almost like I feel kind of heartless at times now because I'm just like,
it's just is what it is.
You're fine, dude. Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah.
And so there's so much freedom happening with all of that.
Right. And there's also the sense that the body will, in a way, just do what it naturally does. It comes into its own balance, and sometimes it looks really extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you suppressed masturbating for a couple years, like it might look extreme for a bit.
Yeah, that's an interesting, way to put it too, because yeah, and it's just like it's just every time my mind wants to ask like why, I just say shut up. There's no answer. Like, why would we do that? Why would we hold back? It's like there is this lessening of wanting to know and just trying to figure shit out. It's like that. That's another allowance. It's just like just because this person, this character, is just absorbing so much knowledge, spiritual knowledge, this, that. I'm on the internet. It's just been like a Pac-Man of like knowledge. Yeah. Always, I love to figure stuff out, man. Like if someone can't figure something out, I'll figure it out. Boop, boop. I'm all like, figuring it all out.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I don't care. Like, yeah. And I feel very lucky because I feel like people like PhD guy, he has a wife or, a fiance, and they're going to have kids, and, and then he's got to worry about life. I feel like that kind of pulls you back into this like life where luckily I don't have a lot of that going on. So I feel like there's just this allowing that I can just be, because another thing I felt really related to you with is just, I have been a big advocate of just having my solitude. I live a very solitude life. I have a few friends, but mostly I'm alone all the time. And I feel like that has really allowed me to survive this message. I couldn't imagine having to interact with people on a daily basis and going through this. It's crazy because it's crazy.
I know. Yeah. It's not something you can talk about and not seem a bit crazy, like you lost it. Yeah, I do know someone who is still like he was going to work and still interacting with just normal people, and it's a little bit of torture for him because he goes pretty much almost every day, maybe 5 days a week or something, and he hasn't really had a break, so he's going through all of this before the meat dropped, afterwards, a lot of pain, a lot of energetic die-offs apparently in the timeline that doesn't really exist, but it's difficult. For me too. I look at him and I'm just like, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you're surviving.
I think it's so fascinating because just as different as all these characters are, the experience is as well. And I've learned so much of that through you, just hearing how, because this hasn't been scary for me. It hasn't been, I haven't had any existential dread, and I just, gosh, I'm so grateful for that. But I have had a lot of suffering of my own accord, and with self-esteem and judgment and everything. And I found it so interesting when you talked about people after they've dropped just really suffering more. So wow. Yeah. And it just shows how just this nothing can ever be known, but this whole experience it's just as different as we all are. And
I was just as shocked too, because I didn't come across these stories. Yeah, but this apparent person, because he's going through that, he was drawn to all of these stories that have a very different flavor. And yeah, he says like it's not that surprising that a lot of people have, not people, but like suicide happened because there was just so much pain, even though the me wasn't there.
Wow. Like maybe, like you said, there's a holding back of energy, and then when you're gone, you feel so much more from what I hear.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it's really good that these one-on-ones are being shared, only because initially when I was receiving this message from other speakers, which is great, it's just there's such there's nothing you can do. Don't talk, almost like don't talk about it, like, and I love that because that's kind of the uncompromising message you want. And that's why it's beautiful. It just seems, I don't know, maybe I can't tell if it's the algorithm, but in the last 2 months that I've been listening to this, it seems like there's more and more speakers coming out, or maybe they're just coming up in my view. But I'm really grateful that these conversations are happening.
Yeah. Yes, it's fun.
You didn't have any of these when you were watching these videos, huh?
Of these one-on-one conversations? Not really. Yeah, I listened to the Zoom meetings that were recorded, and that was nice. But I do like this kind of one-on-one chat where it's more lengthy, so a lot can be covered, and a lot can be addressed. Because with the Zoom meetings, it's just like 1 or 2, 3 questions. And
yeah, I agree. And I just love the things that you've shared in these. Like, just, I think what keeps popping in my head, even right now as we talk, is just when you were telling PhD guy how, you don't, like, you wake up and it's like no different than being asleep, and how day and night, it's just hearing those things are amazing. And, of course it makes me want it, but it's just more like, I don't know. It's not like understanding. It's just wow.
Yeah.
It's just wow. It's so neat. And like I said, just seeing your amazement in it all, and just, it's so like, wow.
Yeah. And there are also moments, because there was a lot of heartbreak here too. No one's heart was being broken, but there was a lot of grief and mourning for what was lost, even though nothing was lost because nothing really was had by anyone. But yeah. And in one of my videos, I remember I said something like, I wouldn't trade this for anything. But I mean, I think that was from just a celebration of the remnants of a strong remembering of the me. But now there is none of that. There is just this equanimity, and no matter what happens, it doesn't really matter. It can be extremely painful and heartbreaking and devastating, or it could be joyful and a lot of dancing, and there is really no difference that much. I mean, the body will feel pain if it's too much heartbreak over an apparent long period of time, so things might change, but really there's not that much of a difference. There's not that much of a comparison anymore. There, like, the loss and grief can actually be somewhat felt, and yet it's so okay. It's so, nothing is really missed anymore either, because I don't know. There's no stickiness to anything. So it's just like grief, maybe a little bit of missing, and there's no holding on to anything. It's just what's appearing. And then a minute later, you don't even remember what happened. Like, I don't even remember what I say in videos. So I have no idea.
What's crazy is when you hear that as a me, you realize that that is happening within here too. This character, you know, so it's like, I don't know. I think it's powerful to hear that because it's like, yeah, you're not doing any of this, chick. You know, and the other day I was watching, I'm not into politics or anything. And this whole Ukraine thing, I'm very much into like, yeah, it's all bullshit. I mean, I know it's happening, you know, but in reality, it's like the whole propaganda behind it or whatever. But this, you know, I felt like tears come to my eyes. You know, I was sad. Like it is sad what's happening. It's still happening to apparent people, you know, apparent bodies are experiencing this stuff. But it was like when I cried, it was more just like, that's just this character crying. You know, it wasn't coming from a thought or like, oh, those poor people. Like it just happened. And to me, in a way like that's, it just, when that happened, I was like, see, this is just, it's those little moments of things that I experience, and I can't put them all into words, but that's just what's been happening more and more. Is just this, everything's more like a validation of like, you're not here. This is,
yeah, it's all just happening. No one's doing any of it.
I was like, why are you crying right now, dude? Like, because that's what the body's doing, you know? And I think, you know, I listened to you, just the stuff that you've shared is it's amazing just how ordinary and just how everything is the same. And I think you have really just described that. But what you just explained to me too was like this, I don't know, it almost sounded like, I mean, because everybody talks about it, it's just like, it's so magnificent, it's so vibrant, everything is just so amazing, you know, like there's this whole, but then there's this other side of it, right? Where like you were just explaining, and that it's just, yeah, it's all that. And
Yeah. And when I feel like when the speakers are in a way just presenting this beautiful, radical message that just cuts through everything, it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
how it's expressed and how uncompromising it is. And then you don't get to see the human side, because everyone just has a life. Everyone just has, there are no relationships anymore, but like it apparently appears as if there is. And
yeah, it's like, what happens when you turn off that camera
mm-hmm.
and you're not, you know, spewing out all that, like, and you're showing the other side behind the scenes.
Yeah, they're all preferences and opinions and judgments, and yeah, still there could be insecurities for no one, feeling cautious of what's being said, because there's a knowing that a lot of hatred comes toward this message as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of that is just happening, and it was always the case.
So it was funny because the gentleman asked you, he said, is there still judgment? And you're like, yeah. And he's like, of the self? Like, have you still judge yourself? And it's like, I guess as a me, you can't imagine what that would be like to judge no one. Like, you know,
it's not just a judgmental thought that can have a familiarity. So it seems like it can have a little bit of a pull. There's still an okayness with it. It doesn't matter if it's there or not, really. Mm-hmm. But the body can still get triggered. And there can even be a wishing, oh, I want to get rid of this, or why is this still appearing, or this shouldn't be here. And no one is thinking that. It's just all arising. And it was always the case.
And there's no reaction to it either. It's just like, oh, interesting.
There can be. There can be
an emotional reaction. Like,
yeah, there can even be a belief in it, and like something said or something done or not. That's all just happening. This apparent system is just doing everything it was always doing, now just without this illusory sense of me. But it's pretty much like shockingly very similar in a lot of ways. In some ways, it's very different because a lot drops. When the me sense isn't there, a lot is just falls away, and you can't predict what will fall away and what won't. In a sense, it's so drastically empty. But again, now it just seems like there's no one here worried about it, no one here panicking, no one here wishing for the me back or wishing certain parts of that effect back or reminiscing too much. Or it's just this emptiness. It's just like, holy shit, this is so totally nothing, everythinging, the unreal reeling, and the solidity in everything is just sensed by no one to not be there, and yet it appears very solid. It appears the same as it did before, but for some reason this veil is dropped, and then there's absolutely no separation whatsoever. So no location, no center, no space, no time, no progression, no doer. And it's just full on everything, which is nothing.
When you lay in bed to go to sleep at night, you just lay there and just fall asleep. There's no one thinking about anything they got to do or what they did that day or what needs to happen or what anything like that, huh?
No, there can be thoughts. There can be not being able to fall asleep because there are a lot of thoughts.
And they're just swimming around your head. I was laying in bed last night thinking about, meeting with you and what your what happens when Suzanne goes to sleep,
The body can be in stress, like, oh, there's a lot to do. This is a bit too much. There can be a lot of thoughts. But everything's okay. Like, there does seem to be like, it doesn't really matter if there's thoughts or not, even if there's a little bit of agitation toward it. And the body just does what it does if it's uncomfortable, it seems, at least for here. It's like, okay, if I don't want to lie in bed like that, so I make my schedule lighter. I just say no to things. Things just aren't done. Things are canceled, or
it's almost like the body has more power than anything. Like just hearing you, I think what creates the confusion that we're doers is kind of just, I don't want to lose it because I just had, like, it's like this idea like that stuff is being done, but if I don't know, it's just, I feel like I'm just, I'm still trying to figure shit out, but it's just, I guess it's just the body doing shit, really, is what it comes down to, because it's just a big bag of emotions and chemicals and hormones. And it's just, and then the mind gets involved on top of it and thinks it's doing shit. I don't know. It's like a mind's just do, and the body's like, I want things.
Well, the mind or the thoughts also are just what's happening. So it is the me sense that takes ownership of the body's doing and the thoughts and the emotions. So it's not really the thoughts or the mind that's doing any of that.
Just more like observing it in a sense of what the body's just doing. So even,
there can be a sense of observing, but that's I think a sense of me would be feeling like it's observing or it's a bit detached, which is fine. That's also just this. But there's no real detachment here. It's kind of just full on tornado of thoughts, intense heartbreak and pain, um, pain in the body. So wanting to exercise or sleep more. Um,
You said you said something one time. You said that your thoughts are like silence. It's just there's no difference.
right. Between silence and thoughts, there's not that much of a difference. There could be a preference a little bit, not really anymore, but there could have been a preference for like, yeah, it'd be nicer if there was more silence and nothing, but uh yeah, it seems now like there is really not so different. And again, if the body feels agitated by that, it'll distance itself from an apparent other, or it'll cancel some things or limit the interactions for a while, or it just does it. And it's already the case everywhere. It's just all happening. The me sense can really see a lot of things as a problem though, which, because when we feel like, let's say we have low self-esteem or we're not good enough, the me really feels like it's a problem. You need to fix that. You need to become better, more confident, less insecure. But it's just what it is. It's neither good or bad. This isn't really for the me to take on as advice. It might sound like that, but from this seeing of no one and nothing, it's seen that there is no difference. Everything is equal. Everything is just what it is. That unique conditioning is just what's appearing, and it's perfection.
I feel like I feel like there's a deepening within your within your dropping or whatever, you know what I'm saying. It's just I sense in this conversation like you, it's just, even they say there's a deepening where, but you're just in and how you've talked about it, like it's just more empty. It's just more like the remnants are like,
Yeah.
you're like just invisible, like it's almost just
Yeah.
completely gone.
Uh-huh. And the remembering of what happened is just like thinning away, unless it's repeated, which sometimes I do, which sometimes I like. But if it's not really repeated, it's really like an effort to try and remember exactly what the sequence of things were and what
Yeah,
exactly
like
happened.
listening to your I bet, well, I don't, there's not a you, but I think it's interesting that you did record how you've been recording, because yeah, listening to you now compared to listening to part one and part two, it's so interesting. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I should look back and see what it's like. I really just don't know what I said, what happened, what was said, and
It's almost so, it's so, I don't know, it's just because we're talking, one-on-one live, well, there's no time, but there's just, it's so more energetic now. And I don't know, it's just because you're so much more full on about it. It's just like, so it's crazy. Crazy. I love it though.
yeah.
I love it. And, I mean, yeah, I'm just grateful to be able to talk with you and have this conversation. And
Same here. It's really a joy.
is that it? It's just something that you still love. Like, I just cannot, I mean, I cannot stop watching the videos, and it's not that I'm trying to get anything out of them anymore. It's just that I just love everything about this message. I love hearing everyone. Now these one-on-ones are so much more beautiful, just because it takes it to another place where it's just, I don't know, it's it's just, and I can't listen to anything else. Like
Mhm.
I listen to, sometimes I used to listen to this one guy, he was like a numerologist, intuitive astrologer or something. And when I listen to him now, I just like, it's so exhausting. He's like, yeah, you got to make a decision today. You got to decide, this is your time. I mean, it's like full on. And I'm just like, oh, I can't even hear this. Like, there's no one has to decide anything. It's like there's so much power people think they have over their lives. And it's just like, I mean, this is really the only thing I can listen to
Mhm.
besides like a cooking show, or, and
Right.
that's it. Like I'll listen to like chefs or non-duality or
Yeah. That's how it was here. It was either this message or dating shows. My not so guilty pleasure. I still like, that's the only thing I can watch as entertainment. I can't watch serious movies or intellectual things. I can't even listen to this message anymore.
it's, I'm so glad to hear you said, because I'm suffering with other things. I did try to start watching the dating show on Netflix because I loved it. The first season, the one where people get married, they never see each other. But
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
I love, and I do watch some, like, it's like I'm watching these stories, and that's what they are. They're just stories. And it's sometimes I just don't want to watch their stories, because it's like, I started trying to watch the dating show last night, and it was just like they were just starting to get to know each other and they're telling their stories. And it's like, I got my own story. I don't want to hear all these other stories right now. It's a lot, but sometimes I do, like, sometimes I do want to and I see them. It's just they're just all stories.
Mm.
Everyone's, and it's so obvious that we're all just characters sometimes. It's just, and it's like we're like a movie. We're all like a walking movie. It's just perfect. And so when I see other stuff now, it's like, yeah, this is just like, life is a great movie now. I don't need to watch it. It's just watch life. And you
Mm.
know it's crazy. Have you told your sister?
No, not yet. She has no interest in spirituality even. So she's a little bit into self-help now, a little bit.
Cool.
Um, so but there's no yeah, if there was an in, like she was genuinely interested in freedom or something like that, maybe sharing would happen, but there's really no interest there. And I can still share what's going on here because I talk to her as I would normally.
Mhm.
That hasn't changed that much. Um, so I can tell her what's going on with YouTube and stuff like that. And she'll just listen and maybe give advice. And, it's not really taken, but, just
Yeah.
like a seeming interaction happens and it's very pleasant and light. Um,
And she's your sister. I love how you express that you're excited about her wedding, or like you're interacting in that experience.
mhm.
You have like true, like, oh, this is, and it's genuine in the sense that this character is like, oh, it's the wedding and you have feelings about it. But I mean, in terms of like loving her, she's still special because she's a special character that's been in your life. And so,
That kind of dissipated though. It seemed like the remnants of that, since we were so bonded, it seemed like, oh, this won't really change because it seems like I'm still bonded to her, but and maybe that is just in the system as well, but it does seem like I don't see her as really unique or special anymore.
mhm.
um I don't miss her. I don't miss anyone. So, and it's weird. I can actually be in love with someone and I don't miss them. Like it's very pleasant talking to them or something like that. And there can be feelings of immense love and joy and enjoyment, but then it's like, and then it's just this.
I love that. So beautiful. It seems almost, I mean, it's just, yeah, I just can't understand it. You know, you just,
Yeah.
but that's good to know though.
Mm.
It's, you know, because I think you just think, oh, like there's this emptiness, yes, but then there's still this enjoyment in it and connection, and but just no one's obsessing over it and,
Mm.
oh, you, I love you, I care. I remember PhD guy asked you about loneliness, and I thought that was really interesting. There were so many good topics in there.
Yeah. I don't remember if I addressed it really. Um, Loneliness is seems part of the body. Like as mammals, I think we want to bond,
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree. It's not really, it doesn't feel that healthy to be isolated for long periods of time. And this body is feeling that too. It's been isolated for um, um I, I would say really more than 1 year intensely. So she moved to a different city and she has no friends. I have no friends here.
Yeah.
And I wanted that. I didn't want to communicate with anyone really. But the body is feeling like it might be healthy if I get a hug once in a while. And so I might move back home. Um, so it's just the body, the body has needs, and that's so natural and normal, and that doesn't disappear. It wanting intimacy is so natural. Um, and the body can feel lonely. It's all very light. It's all okay. It's all just this, and it's the same as feeling joy. So it's not really a problem, but sure, it can arise. And when there's a sense of me and a sense of loneliness, that's so natural because on top of the bodily needs, it's like an actual illusory sense of a separate self wants wholeness, wants completion, wants to feel fulfilled or something like that. And that's totally natural, it doesn't feel whole. That's just naturally how it is. It feels separate. So loneliness is so normal.
I love that. I love that so much. It's the more I hear you explain all of this, the more I see that what is just really real, what is not real, but just it's so true that the me is just on top of everything, and that it's just like it's just right on, like, because through this conversation, what kept popping in is, well, that's why I think I'm the doer. But then it goes away because it's like, no, because that's just natural. That's just, I love it. I love that you're sharing, not you, but I love that your character is sharing in this way. And I think it's, you think so too? This is my human emotional contact. I'm the same way. I don't have a lot of friends here. I don't see anybody, but this body, like I just told a friend in San Francisco, I was like, do you know, I need a massage. Like I haven't been touched by human hands in like so long. Like I want someone to squeeze my shoulders. Or, you know what I mean?
Too.
It's like maybe a hug would be nice, like I totally get it. And it's I just relate so much. And but at the same time, this me really values this. Like, I don't want anyone in yet, I'm not, I don't, I love, it's like, stay away. I'm like, I work from home, it's nice.
I am such a loner. My friends are like,
I am too. It's almost like crazy, to be honest, just how, I mean, there is this truth that the more that you're okay with being alone, the more you want to be alone, and well, at least for me, but yeah, this has been so, yeah, you know, it's like, I wish the me wasn't in the way, because there's so much more that I wish I would have asked you. And initially I was like, oh, I should write down a bunch of stuff to talk about. And I'm like, why? You're like, there's, you know, it's just going to be what it is when it happens anyways.
Yeah.
And I think I just really, I just needed to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this doesn't even help or do anything. It's just, I don't know. I guess just like how meditation and being in silence brought some kind of peace to the me, I guess, you know, this talking with someone about it does the same thing.
Yeah. It can seemingly appear as if, at least for here, it was expressing it in some way, whether it be writing or talking to myself or to another. It for some reason landed in the body, apparently. You know, ultimately doesn't really have that much meaning, but it's nice to express.
I think, just like I was saying earlier, like this, there's been this like allowing, like right now, I feel like less constrict, like less contracted. Like I feel like almost it is energetic, I think, you know, and I feel like when I'm holding it all in and this, I can't talk about, you know, I don't know. I'm just telling stories, but there is this sense of like, I feel lighter. I feel lighter and I feel just more open.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. And I feel this way when I hear your videos. And so I hope this character, Suzanne, keeps on keeping on.
Yeah.
A new one today that I'm gonna watch. So, but thank you for meeting with me, and I will probably hit you up again.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it was really nice to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. Now I have all these things, but we'll save them for another time. We'll see how it goes. But you really helped me.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, do you want to address something else? It's okay if you want.
I don't know. You know, there's just, I feel like it's just all a repetitive, you know. Yeah, I just feel like it's just like when I'm in those meetings, you know, you want to ask questions, but there's just no questions. There's nothing, you know. It's just it's like something rises up and then it's just like shut up, you know. I guess, you know, it's, to me, I love being in here in this, I don't know, with you live or whatever it is. But yeah, it's nice, huh? This is his new conditioning. He's into this yamming thing now. But yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'll just keep watching your videos and just keep keeping on. And what else can you do?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's going to get anything from this conversation, but I think maybe just knowing that sometimes the me knows it's not alone and other people are, you know, going through things. It's just what it is. So,
yeah. So I'll stop recording now.